This is the final part of our interview with the leader of the National Citizens Alliance, Stephen Garvey. Stephen, I'm going to let you have a few moments, the last few minutes, to say what you want to say. We have only 15 minutes, but I do have one quick question. A fan, or a few fans, pointed out that you had flip flopped on an issue regarding refugees, and there was a video where you said you wanted to bring in refugees, and I don't know. I mean, I personally, if you did flip flop, I don't see what the problem is. I mean, Trump was once a Democrat, Reagan was once a Democrat. So, what is your position on the Syrian refugees now?
Yeah, the position of the NCA is to actually keep them there, create safe zones
in Syria.
Yes.
Okay.
So what that gentleman or woman is referring to is a video statement from 2015, part of a completely separate party.
Yeah.
And it was during the humanitarian crisis when they were babies were floating up dead on the beach. There was all kinds of misinformation. So basically what I was saying, that we'd be open to allowing 20,000 into Canada at that time.
Okay.
That was in 2015. That's over 4 years ago. That's when there was all the hysteria, Micah.
Of course.
Michael, and NCA wasn't even created at that point.
Yeah, you know what? Don't kick yourself over.
But the point is that video is actually really good because it proves that we're not white nationalists.
Of course not. Of course
not. We're not racist.
You're the least white nationalist person I've ever met.
No, but we get portrayed that in the mainstream media.
I know. The mainstream media is rubbish.
Even so-called conservatives call us that.
Well, those conservatives need to look within their own soul.
I'll be very honest with our listeners. I didn't fully wake up to political Islam, Sharia, till late 2015. That is a fact.
But here's the thing, Stephen. I mean, and I want to get your take on it. I know it's a sensitive issue. But, everybody talks about, Islam this, Islam that. And then on the other hand, they talk about how great Israel is. And I know that, your position, they have a right to exist. I'm not saying they don't. But the thing about it is that a lot of these nations, America goes into them, Syria, Iraq, Libya, they destabilize the area, kill off the dictator who is wanting their people to stay in their land. The dictator's gone. You get a flow of refugees in the country, and then you get the Greater Israel Project where they just build more land into these areas. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is the real reason why we have a refugee crisis in the first place. I mean, it's not about Arabs wanting to take over. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of them, but in my opinion, they come from places where we have destabilized those countries. So my question to you, Mr. Garvey, would you commit, because I'm a non-interventionist, would you commit to only creating sanctions and only going to war if our nation is threatened or attacked, or if our allies are threatened or attacked unfairly? Would you commit to that, sir?
We've already committed to that, Michael. It's in our foreign policy.
Excellent. That's all
we don't support nation building.
Good. 100.
For economic, geopolitical, etc.
Yeah.
But you must have read our policy because those are almost our exact words.
Well, this is just what I believe in. I've always believed in it.
I want to come back to the Syrians. I've met Christian Syrians.
Of course.
And I feel bad for them.
Well, yeah, if we have to bring in people, it should be Christians.
Against Syrians are wrong. And sure, there's some real bad operators coming out of there.
Right.
ISIS and etc. But we have to have an open mind. But NCA is all about Canadians first. We wouldn't allow any of them in. I'm sorry.
Well,
we would help them locally.
You mentioned Christians. If we have to let anyone in, I mean, I know what you mean, but if we have to, I'd rather let in the real victims instead of, people who, it would almost be like bringing in Germans from World War II. That's like a Trojan horse, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've had a Christian Syrian in my house. We've had dinner. We've discussed the issues.
You're not a racist. You are the least, I think you're the least racist out of the whole of them.
But I'm telling you, there's a lot of misinformation.
Oh, yeah.
And, not all Syrians are bad people. Having said that, Canadians first, come on.
Of course. I agree with you.
Like I said, I love that video in 2015 of me because it shows I have a heart.
Right.
My heart is on the Canadian people. That's it.
Okay. That's
So
good. So we are far away from 15 minutes. I mean, I know I want to give you closing statements. I want to wait a little bit to the end. Tell me about yourself, Mr. Garvey. Like about your personal. Like, are you married, kids? You live in Alberta. What's
yeah,
your
I'm
hobbies?
married, man. I'm married. But the great thing about me is I've lived in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
My parents are from the UK. I was born in Montreal.
Oh, okay.
I
Parlez-vous
went to.
français?
I grew up outside of Toronto at one point.
Parlez-vous français?
Come see, come saw. But I can pick up French very quick if I want to, right? It's a matter of being immersed. I went to university out on the West Coast.
Right, right.
Uh,
Okay.
I did a master's in England at Cambridge.
Okay. Uh,
Uh,
what are some of your
I'm living in
hobbies?
Alberta, so to me, that's a strength of me. Also, I've worked in democracy for 20 years.
Right. What are some of your hobbies?
Some people may not like it. Uh,
Go ahead.
I love dogs.
Dogs?
Yeah,
Who doesn't like
walking
dogs?
dogs. Yeah, I love animals. That type of walking a dog is great enjoyment.
Oh yeah, it's very
I do
therapeutic.
I do something controversial. People may not like it.
What?
I
Sure.
do bull
What?
I do bull hunting. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? It's the
yeah,
circle of
so
life. Come on.
they may not like that.
Well,
But whatever I take,
yeah,
whatever I harvest, is consumed by my family and friends.
of
So
course. I
nothing
mean,
is
as long
wasted.
as you're consuming it, that's fine. I mean, even fox hunting in England. I don't know what your view is on it, but I've come to the conclusion that a lot of these farmers they do it because they understand that their crops and stuff get eaten by these animals, so they use the hounds to clear. It's all a part of nature, and then you got these politicians interfering. So hey, I don't hold anything. I mean, as long as you're not abusing an animal or anything, I don't care.
Yeah, if I don't eat meat, I'm not going to hunt. As
Of
long as
course.
I'm eating meat, I'm probably going to hunt. I love the challenge. I love being outdoors. Uh,
Right.
I love being connected to nature in that sense.
Yeah. That's
So
good. That's good.
it's one of the greatest challenges individual can face in our society is doing that type of activity, especially when there's grizzly bears and cougars and
Oh yeah. Oh
you got a
yeah.
lot of challenges. So
Of
it's
course.
pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And
Have
archery is probably the one of the fairest pursuits, hunting
archery.
pursuits. So the animal, you have to get the animal in very close, and but it is very lethal. If I've taken big elk down with
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
it's very powerful. It's quick.
yeah,
I did it at a camp once when I was a kid, archery. You'll be surprised at how tough the hole get. It's really powerful.
it
It
is.
doesn't hurt.
It's very lethal, and I take it very seriously, and similar to Aboriginal people, there's a real connection, and you can see on my artwork the archery. This is
Yeah.
the Micmacs.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's for the Micmacs on the East Coast, but it's an archery taking it looks like an elk, a deer down.
Okay.
But the message is a way to sustain their family, their village,
Right. Right.
like all the food and the hide and
Okay.
this is traditional Canada,
That's true.
Michael.
That's true. Okay. So you know what? We're down to our
But
last. Yeah.
I should preface that we got a great wildlife policy, and most hunters I know they love wildlife
Yeah.
and they want to preserve them, and they're great in that sense.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, so
We
just
have a
understand
beautiful
that.
country. We have a beautiful country, and people say, "Oh, environmental." I'm not. I don't believe in carbon taxes and all this stuff, but I do believe in preserving what God gave us. Keep the nation beautiful because we do have a beautiful nation, from the cities to the rural areas. I mean, I don't think anywhere is more beautiful than this country here. We are not perfect, but it's a beautiful land God gave us, and we need to take care of it
100%.
socially, economically, and environmentally. We're down to our last minute, Stephen. I've
Oh,
already
geez.
said that I'm endorsing uh, I'm endorsing a conservative minority that is propped up by you and even the PBC to a certain extent. They're not perfect, but they do have some ideas. But my goal, Stephen, is that you were to win some seats, work with the conservatives, keep them in check, and if Scheer messes up, which is undoubtedly he will, people will look at you. They'll look at Bernier and they'll say, "You're the one who is for the average people. You're not the one pandering to big money and the Koch brothers and all these other individuals. You're the one that's for the people. You're the one who doesn't want to go to useless wars." I think that I'm going to really take a good look at the NCA. And yes, he's had to change positions, but that just shows how human he is. I'm endorsing my. I hope that that's my outcome.
Yeah,
That's my
I didn't change positions. We didn't have a position,
exactly.
so
Uh,
there was no flip flop. There was no policy
of
on that.
course, of course.
So
I know
that
what you mean. Yeah.
so
Sorry if
that
I
was
said.
just reacting to the media, right?
Yeah.
And I was manipulated by the media, like most Canadians,
Yeah.
right? So and it's not a bad thing. It's not bad to want to help other people.
Yeah. But you
That's not
do
a bad
support
thing.
Canadians first, and
Yeah.
letting the. I mean, the war is pretty much over. The Syrians, they don't. We don't have to bring in any more and all that
No,
stuff.
they most of them want to go home
Yeah,
anyway.
I think
So
they should go home now.
yeah, yeah, like the Christian guy I had over, he was homesick, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very old historical country. It goes back thousands of years,
Yeah.
and it's very different from here culturally and the food. So I can understand why they want to go back.
Yeah. But I do agree with you on safe zones over there instead of coming
Yeah,
here.
that's been our basic NCA policy from day
Okay.
one.
That's good. I think that clears it up very good.
Yeah.
1 minute. Say what you want to say. Closing
Yeah,
statements.
but
Go shoot.
I want everyone to know there is a major transformation happening to Canada. It's been going on, you could argue, since the 70s. And the main vehicle is sustained mass immigration, irrespective of which mainstream party is in power. So we're talking 200,000 plus a year. This is what's transforming Canada in terms of its identity, heritage, culture norms, values. It's also impacting us economically. New immigrants are 40 billion a year taxation negative. That means they're consuming more services than taxes paid. Administration of immigration is 24 billion a year plus. There's an agenda through Ford, Kenny, other globalist premiers through the federal government to bring mass immigration, third world migrants into rural Canada. Kenny is committed to 10,000 a year of third world migrants into rural Canada, rural Alberta. Look it up. Get the facts. Another myth is the aging population myth that they use to justify mass immigration. It is false. Canada is growing naturally now, 294 new Canadians every day.
Right. You can keep talking.
And then we have the chain migration fiasco. That's where new immigrants, they bring in their parents, their grandparents. So they're bringing in aging migrants. So mass immigration is not the answer to an aging population. Canada has the lowest 65-year plus population in the G7. These are globalists in Ottawa, in the mainstream parties that are pushing mass immigration on the Canadian people. It has to stop.
On that note, Mr.
It
Garvey,
has to stop. Support NCA. Read the policies, compare them.
and on that note, we're just about out of time. I want to
All
thank
right.
you for coming
Okay,
on.
thank you.
You're the best. You're
All
great.
right, thank you, Michael. Read
Thank
the
you.
policies.
Definitely. I've already
Yeah.
pinned them to the top of the comment section.
All right, thank you very much.
And this is the Arana Nation with Mr. Stephen Garvey, hopefully the next Prime Minister of Canada one day.